Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and today's the official release of the Wuben X1 Pro. It's an amazing feat of flashlight technology. Now, this started a while ago. In fact, it's got a deeper history. This is the X1 Pro. Here is the Wuben X0. It's this little tank of a light. Love this thing. Then there was the X1, which they also nicknamed the Falcon. They had nicknames for these for a while, which is reminiscent, but smaller, if you can believe it, than the X1 Pro. And then there was the Wuben X2. You can barely see it on that circuit board motif. And then a pile of others. But they came out with this one with the Kickstarter, and I did a video on it a while ago. This is one of their originals or prototypes, and they've made a few changes on this thing. So let's take a closer look at what is for sale today at about $139. Now, on the top end, what's going to catch people's attention is there's 12,300 lumens that come out of this thing when it is running in turbo mode on both the spot and the flood. And that's one of the key features here is there's this side switch that goes between a flood, a combination spot flood, and a spot. Now, the spot on this thing alone is 3,650 lumens on turbo. Then there's a 1200, a 500, 200, and a 10, what they call an eco mode. If I go to the flood, I get 8,650 lumens on turbo, followed by 1800, 500, 200, and that eco mode of 10. But if I put it in the middle and I fire up both sets, or both this emitter and this set of emitters over here, I can get 12,300 lumens, or 3,000, 1,400, and then the combined ecos, which is 20. Now on the spot end, I can get almost a 400 meter reach of 42,000 candela. So that's a lot of energy coming out of the front end of this thing. And one of the novel situations they ran into is heat dissipation. How do you deal with it? Well, they actually put a fan. This is an electric fan inside the light. Now, they have done that before. If you go back to one of the original Wuben X1s, they were running a fan here, and you could actually see it turn. You'd see it spinning in there, and they have since really increased the durability of the fan and the ability to take it out and replace it easily. So there are 4 T5 screws holding this component in. Now, the fan does kick on when it's needed, when the heat gets to a certain temperature, and you can also manually turn on the fan, but you can't manually turn the fan off. Now, some interesting things they've added here. If you notice on this, there's the side of this, so it does also talk about the input and the output, and I'll show you that in a second. There is the locking mechanism. It is much stronger on the actual sale one than the prototype. That was actually one of the suggestions I mentioned, is to make that something, since most people aren't going to use it as often, to snug that up. But this is kind of neat. You notice on the side here, in the original one, there's nothing on this panel, but here it says, lock when not in use for quick clicks. Now, there are a lot of different ways you can lock flashlights. It depends on the interface. You can hold the button down. You can, do a set of different kinds of clicks, even some of them up to 10 clicks. But having that listed there in order to make sure your flashlight's totally locked. But you know what else you can do if you were traveling or something? Is just simply pop the batteries out. There you go. And this thing runs on two, well, it holds two 21700s, and these are 4,800 milliamp hours. Now, something I thought about is on the back here, it does say 4,800 milliamp hours, but that's only one battery. So I threw one battery in here to see what would happen, and it turns out that you can get the light to come on with one battery. So there's that. But it works great on two, really fires out the lumens. I'll show you some beam shots in a sec. USB-C charging, and that is both in and out. So I've got my Klein tester here. I'll plug that in. And then why don't I go ahead and charge up my old X0 here. So you can see the Klein tester's kicking on. I've got 4.9 volts out through USB-C. So I also have a battery bank here, which is often important, especially for traveling around. It's kind of a neat thing. rubber cap there. What else we have going on here? Well, there is a rail mount. That's what they call this spot right here. Now, I put on the original rail that I was able to get when I got the prototype, and this actually came with a bike mount, so I used this actually as a bike light in the winter, and it's unbelievable. It's like a car headlight. The newer version has a quarter 20 tripod mount in it as well, so they've upgraded that. So that's a nice little piece. And they include a holster, and this holster has kind of a click-stop belt clip there, so you can attach it to straps, your belt, your pants, pocket, whatever, and then you can hold the light right into it. Comes with a set of 4 extra screws for the fan, should you happen to lose one, if you're playing around with that. And it's got an IP65 rating, which you know that's a pretty solid ingress protection. It's a big light. It does weigh about 383 grams. That's about 80% of a pound, something like that. So it's noticeable, but it's a different class than, say, the standard bar lights or the little pocket lights or EDC lights. This is a serious light. You can do surging with it. You can do flood. You can get long runtime. The runtime on this is kind of cool. If you remember, its low end is 10 lumens, and 10 lumens is often like a low setting on a lot of other flashlights, but you can get 455 hours on the spot. It's 10 lumens, and I can get basically 19 days, 24/7 for almost 3 weeks of that 10 lumen there, or I can get 15 days worth of 10 lumens coming out of the flood. And that is plenty to walk at night. If you pop it up one more notch right there, you could jog at night, because now in this case I'm at 200 lumens, and that's on a low setting. Honestly, it does turn nighttime into day. It's kind of shocking, but I can just light up an entire field. I am able to shoot out hundreds of meters with the spotlight, and I can switch back and forth on the fly between flood and spot. So if I'm hiking along and with the flood and then hear something, I can flip it to spot and shoot it out further, or I can use both if I really want to see what's kind of further out and ahead. It's almost like driving lights and your high beams on at the same time. As far as just carrying it, walking along, it's on a low setting. It's kind of nice. It does not create a huge light signature, so you can easily move through the night without any trouble on a lower setting. And then instantaneously a double click throws it into turbo, and obviously if it's on flood you got the 8600 lumens, or the spot's 3600 instant lumens, or shoot it to the middle, which you can easily feel, index that with your thumb, and blast out over 12,000 lumens, just lighting up everything, including some unsuspecting ducks and other animals. So anyway, there it is. It's a pretty amazing light. It does come with a lanyard, and the lanyard is nice machined aluminum there with a dual-sided USB-C. Wuben has been one of the more successful innovators in the lighting space. They have come up with some great designs, beautiful materials, affordable prices, and definitely something that you just enjoy using. Gorgeous lights. And now to have something as monstrous as this, which is probably going to open up an entire space once we get used to it. This will be a common light. Remember, we used to use great big mag lights with 2 or 3 D-cell batteries in it. And, you know, we shrunk it down, and maybe we went all the way down too small. I don't know. I don't think so. But suddenly now we're realizing that there are benefits to going back up in size. And that's why I really appreciate Wuben pushing forward, taking their time with the designs, learning from the past, and then producing this monster. Let me know your thoughts. And with that, Doc out.